what's going on, everybody? My name is John Bautista, and you are tuning into the Marriage Savvy Podcast. Guys, I'm excited for this last episode in this coaching series. So, we've been going over a series titled, I Love You, But I'm Not in Love with You. And in this last episode, we're going to track how Kim and John made the choice of choosing one another in order to go from a marriage that was on the hinge of divorce to a marriage that sought connection and safety. We're going to bring back Amanda Richardson. She's going to facilitate this last section of our session, and then we're going to come back and process some of their conversation that could help us seek connection and safety. Coming up on today's show. The Marriage Savvy Podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be used to diagnose, treat, or act as medical advice. Always seek the advice of your primary care physician, mental health professional, or qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition and/or mental illness.
We've transitioned. If you guys are comfortable with that, this is the last session from divorce to deep connection, kind of how you've come full circle. And the part you shared about is so important that you haven't figured it all out. But man, there's a whole nother level of connection and intimacy and a vision of where you're going, which you didn't have way back then.
No, we didn't. But we did have this family we created and this strong belief that divorce is not an option that we wanted to entertain. And when I went to that place where I was willing to think about and talk about divorce, it scares me to death now to think that I could have thrown all of this away. So,
yeah, I can't imagine getting to this point in my life and not being able to look across the room at the person that I have spent the last 35 years with. I just can't imagine not being able to do that and look back and seeing the good times and the bad times, but it's all there and it's all part of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a common life. It's a common experience. It's home. It's home.
But that's the reward. We fought really hard for this.
Yeah.
It was worth it. Still worth it.
Yeah.
Very definitely.
You fight still every day. And by fight, I mean you choosing to love each other, choosing to love yourself, choosing to pay attention and take care of the relationship. It's beautiful.
Love is a choice.
It is absolutely a choice, and it's a verb. It's an action. You're doing it. You're choosing to do love together.
Yeah.
And that takes us back to where the intimacy comes in, right? When we weren't choosing to do love, when we were withdrawing, when we were having all the disconnecting strategies, the intimacy was gone. There wasn't connection. You loved each other, but you weren't in love with each other. That's the title of our series. When you weren't intentional, when you weren't aware.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about how you got back that in love feeling?
I think there were two. I think that's probably the biggest question of all in all of this. And it's a nuanced answer. Mm-hmm. So I think some of it came from understanding the cycles and phases of real love and what that looks like, so that it's getting my expectations right about what love is. Right? Getting it right in my head what it is. I had to redefine it for me because it's not the storybook. I mean, that sounds so naive, but I mean, it does come with, I love you more today than I did yesterday. There's those moments where it's just harder to enjoy someone's company. You're annoyed, you're tired, you're, whatever. And we go through seasons of that. And understanding that that's not indicative that there's a problem or that this love isn't real or enough, I guess. So there's some part of that is managing my own expectations around what in love looks like. But again, it was trusting and being able to view him from a different lens of, this is not somebody who is failing me, but dedicated, and he's fighting with me. We're partnering together.
Yes.
We finally figured out what that looks like and how to do that, so that we're, if you're rowing, you're paddling a there's a synchronicity
Yeah.
to this, and if until you're in sync and learn how to do that, you don't go very far. That canoe's going to spin around in circles, right?
Mhm.
And that was part, we had to learn how to get in sync with each other, and
And you
um,
both play a part in that.
we both played a part in that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's learning how to navigate sexual intimacy as it changes. I mean, we're 35 years into it now. These bodies are different. And so it's learning how to do that and enjoy that with each other through the different phases and changes. Like, marriage is a real living thing, isn't it? Like, there's so many dynamics to it.
It's fascinating how much we can learn from our marriage about ourselves, about our spouse, about being in relationship.
And when you think you've learned it all, then you should hear your kids' take on your marriage. Now that's eye-opening.
We have one kid that just, I mean,
Very insightful.
he's very insightful and is not at all afraid to tell you what he thinks about something. And he's not being mean. He's not being, he's just laying it out there. This is what I see and this is what I think about it. But
And so
I could never have done that with my parents. I could never have spoken to them that clearly.
One time he said something to us. I can't remember now what it was, but we left his apartment and we're coming down the stairs, and I looked at him and I went, I hate it when he's right. I hate that. He sees us. I hate that. Yeah.
Well, it tells me that you've done a really good job at creating a really safe, loving family where he feels comfortable to share his views and his perspective and his opinion.
Well, that comes from the work of attachment, because you have to remember, intimacy, into me you see, right? We talk about that all the time. You have to be willing to receive other people's viewpoints and opinions, even when they're spot on in it, but it hurts, or they're wrong, right? And how you respond to that is the safety you create in the relationship.
Yes. And that's all relationships. It's just harder with your spouse.
Yes. Well, yes. And it should be, right?
Yeah. Yes.
The relationship is more important, and how to be relational. These are the skills that keep these relationships long lasting than the information you're trying to pass back and forth. And so always protect the relationship.
Kim has shown me that it's okay to be seen is a true gift. That I feel like I can come to her and say, this is where I am, this is how I'm feeling, and this doesn't feel good, or this is something I'm struggling with, or whatever it is, that's okay. That's not to say that every time I do this, she is a perfect in her reaction, but even when she's not, she comes back later and says, I didn't handle that very well. I'm sorry, and um, let's deal with the issue at hand. And so she makes repair about, when she doesn't handle it quite right. But most of the time she does. Most of the time she's okay. Well, let's talk about that, and let's delve into that, and I can tell you from my perspective, and we can figure this out. And that's been a real blessing to me, to somebody who grew up hiding. So
The gift of staying together when it's hard.
Such a gift. I think that's going to be really encouraging to whoever hears this.
Okay, Amanda, what a clip. And we just got out of this final episode. Before we start, I do want to have our audience understand more of what a repair is. So, John referenced it. Kim talked about doing it, but what is a repair from our perspective?
Yes, repair is when one of us realizes there's a hurt. Whoever realizes it first realizes there's a hurt, there's a disconnect, and they're doing what Kim and John started doing is looking at what was my part and what is going to be helpful to build back that connection. The whole goal of repair is the acknowledgement of the hurt and then to get back to that place of cherishing and understanding that warmth that we were describing, that feeling of being safe and known, which it took Kim and John years to really get this down, but they got there slowly over time by one of them putting their pride aside, really regulating themselves and coming to the other one saying, ah, I am so sorry, I did this, I withdrew, I said something hurtful, and man, I'm sorry, and tell me how that felt.
Yeah, and and I want to say this to everybody is that we're gonna be making repairs like for the rest of our days, for the rest of our days here, because once again, like we're not perfect, we mess up, we have flaws, and humanly speaking, um, we tend to err on the side of selfishness rather than other orientedness, right, or selflessness. And so repair is going to be it's okay to repair because ruptures are going to occur. It's not how many times you fall into the hole. It's learning how to get out of the hole.
You
That's most important.
have to have repair if you
Yeah.
want to get back to
Yep.
that closeness. That's the only way you're going to get back to it that's authentic, right? I think John described there were times where he just avoided whatever had happened, the repair, and so there was this gap, this place of, well, he was pleasing, he was withdrawing, there wasn't the closeness. It wasn't
Yeah.
authentic. When he finally got to the point of doing the repair, that's where the warmth and the closeness was able to come back.
Yeah. You know, repair is such a beautiful thing. Like whenever we take time to do it, and for, to hold that space in repair, because you do need to hold space to repair, right? You have to acknowledge the thing that you said or did, or both,
Right.
how it's impacted your partner,
Mhm.
in validating their experience, and then saying, you know what, that's on me. This I should not have done that. I don't want to treat you that way. That's not how I view you. That's not what I want to say to you. Um, and then creating like the next step of how can I try to be better at this, and giving that opportunity for your partner to experience that, like that builds trust,
Yes. That builds safety.
that builds safety, and those are the things that John said that he worked to do, and they did for each other, right? Like they
Yes.
were working to, as we close out this episode in the series, is that they were trying to get to love, trust, forgiveness, and safety, but they just didn't have the tools the entire time,
Mhm.
right? They kind of fumbled along into it. As we're kind of coming to the end of our series here, John talked about how they were fighting for the safety, they were fighting for their home, and trying to establish that. Like, can you talk about some of the levels or maybe some of the dynamics of safety? Like, what does someone need to experience in safety for them to feel safe? I heard that there were three things. Can you describe those those? Can you describe those three things?
Yes. It makes sense, right? That we would first of all need to feel like whoever we're in relationship with is committed to being in that relationship with us. That there's no threat of leaving, because that obviously would break any kind of safety.
Right. And Kim went from threatening divorce to
Hmm.
realizing that it's not okay in her rage
Yeah.
or her anger to say those kinds of things, right?
Yeah, to eventually eliminating that vocabulary at all, because
Right.
man, it's hurtful to say I'm leaving.
Yeah.
That breaks any kind of safety and trust.
Yeah. So first we have a level of safety that is focused on commitment.
Mhm.
What's the next one?
The emotional safety is so important. And that is just that we are able and okay and acceptable in however we feel. We can be
Mm,
sad, we can be mad, we can be disappointed. It's a feeling and it matters and it's okay. And our partner's not going to use it against us. They're not going
mm.
to weaponize it or even really take it personally.
That's that differentiation that we were talking about,
Yes.
right? Like you have to be okay with your partner having their experience of you.
And it's tricky. This is another muscle to be built, right? We do this
Yeah.
in coaching all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
the physical safety.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which that
Um,
can feel like a threat with just how somebody's walking into the room, right? If they're stomping their feet and scowling, you may not feel physically safe, especially if you've experienced that in childhood.
oh, yeah. That's a good point. I think a lot of people forget whenever we come into these, adult relationships, we have a lot of stuff that's behind us.
Mhm. Right. And Kim and John shared throughout their story, they carried their childhood with them too. We all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they fought for it. They
Yes.
fought for their safety. They fought for their home. They fought for their intimacy. And something that's really encouraging as we end, they said that they're still working on it.
Mm. They're still working on it. And all that they've learned, they have been teaching to their children.
That's
And
right.
what a transformation for just the legacy that they've left for their own family. But also,
Yeah.
now there's the marriage place.
Now, exactly. Now there's the marriage place, y'all.
Yeah, the whole world is learning from their growth, their experience.
So good. So good. Well, let me just say this. It has been an honor just to hear you and Kim and John. I mean, as a person who hasn't been in the therapy world for very long, like what a cool experience for me to just hear how you guys talk about these things and the types of things that you guys think through in order to have really healthy relationships.
Well, it's been an honor to be a part of this with you, John, and I have been so just impressed and honored to be with Kim and John and their vulnerability to share
Oh, for sure.
their
Absolutely.
story.
Yeah.
So
And guys,
helpful.
let me just say this. Yeah, at the very end of their story, they were looking into each other's eyes like we were just talking about a game a minute ago, all right? they were about to give little cuddle and snuggles and kisses and we're like, "All right, guys, cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out.
Yes.
That's a wrap. That's
It's
a wrap."
proof. Yeah.
It's definitely proof. All right, Amanda. Well, thank you again. And guys, make sure to tune in. Catch this series if you haven't. We're going to be coming out with another episode that's going to invite people to send their questions and comments in to this series. So be on the lookout for that episode. You guys have been listening to the Marriage Savvy Podcast. Stay savvy. Peace.